Hey, welcome, friends, to our special edition of On The Vise, Monday night. I'm really glad to be here tonight. And tonight we've got a special guest with us. I'm excited. Probably one of the most fishy guys I know. He's been here since 2005. Moved to Gunnison from Pennsylvania in 2005. Has been guiding and hunting, guiding for that whole time. Moved to Montrose 2010, married, and hey, what kind of guide? His son's got the best name a guide could have, Hopper. So we're so glad to have Jake. Hey, thanks for being here, part of our community. He is a guide extraordinaire down at Black Canyon Anglers. And what you got for us tonight, buddy?
Keep it simple to start with, and we'll go from there. I'm just going to start off with a pheasant tail. You know, it's one of the most basic patterns you can do, and it catches a lot of fish, and it's pretty applicable to this time of year. So maybe you don't know, maybe you watch something that I do that is different than what you do, and you learn something new. All right, so get my thread started. I started off using a 16. I like these tiemcos a lot. 2488s. Is that on there?
Yep, it won't show up on there, but it will on
Okay, cool. And for a bead, do the 5/64, just a gold, regular gold bead. You can do tungsten if you'd like, but I don't generally do that. Let's see. I like to use weight to change my depth. Just get your thread started. This is like a wine colored, but you could use like a brown, or sometimes you could. Sometimes I like to use red, just straight red. It looks nice. Okay, so that's started down there. We'll get our pheasant tail going. Standard Kansas America pheasant tail. I think in the size 16, I usually generally grab between I'd say 8 to 10 tail fibers. And the best way to do that would be to just kind of flatten them out, and then you'll get all the tips lined up just right. Cut that off. Just do the 1 and 2 wraps, kind of let it hang. That way you can adjust your length of your tail. And generally the tail length is going to be about 3/4 of your hook shank on your body. Eyeball it. 2 down, 1 in front. I like to go 1 back. And now, I'm going pretty fast. Copper wire, I'll go to this one. This is extra small, but I generally would go 1 size bigger. I don't have any though. I throw pheasant tails a lot of the year.
Pull the purple.
No, it's somewhere.
They wrap it around the base.
I know that, but there we go. Nope, that wasn't it. When I do wire, I leave most of the tail end back, and I'll tie it in just right there at the base with 1 good firm one, and then back in front of everything. You kind of pull everything back. And it doesn't have to be too exact because you can trim it, and then just wrap it forward. Create like a nice, you want to build a taper up towards the bead. I didn't put any lead wrap on this either. This is going to be pretty much a nice lightweight. Sometimes in this, I'll drop a pheasant tail behind a parachute Adams. You gotta have a nice light one for that. All right. Smooth that out and build your base. All right. From there, you just want to take the ends, the butt ends, and just kind of twist your pheasant tail fibers together. Make kind of a rope. And on your first twist, come down kind of straight and flat so that you cover up your thread wraps a little bit. And then just wrap up. And generally, I will keep enough on these smaller ones. You can save yourself a step if you just leave that for later. Like that. Okay, so on that one I wrapped towards my body. I always change it for some reason. I gotta pay attention to that. But you want to counter wrap your wire always. It's pretty standard. So wrap away on the wire. So come from way and just nice concentric even wraps up the body. And wherever, just kind of mix it in there. And a little thing I've noticed, actually, if you do pay attention to it, like if you wrap your wire away from your body the same way that you wrap your thread, it'll cinch your wire down better than if you do it the other way. It separates a little bit more. Like if you wrap the wire towards your body and then do the counter wrap across, it actually like pushes it, and you don't get quite as tight of a wrap. So that's that. Come back and just kind of fill that in with some thread. This will be like your little, we're going to put some pheasant, or some ostrich on there. Or peacock, I'm sorry. You could do whatever color you want. I had some. This is like a purple. Purple's hot right now. That purple is so hot right now. You could do 2 or 3 strands. This one's smaller. I'll do 2 strands of peacock. And then you bring, so the butt ends now of your pheasant tail from before. And you bring them back and wrap those down and pinch everything back like that. Come forward, back up to the bead. Again, the twist. Peacock. Just make a nice juicy body. Okay. Good. Those will just pinch off. Okay, from there, now this will create the back, the shell back. Come forward. Don't capture that down. You don't have to do a whole lot, just 1, 2, and then 1 in front. Trim it. Honestly, you could just leave it like that. It would catch fish. But we'll take a few pheasant tail fibers. You know, not too many. Maybe like 4 or 5. Just do right there. And adjust those to about the length, just shy of the body length. Good. How's it looking? Looks fat. Chunky. Couple more wraps here because we're gonna secure it down with some UV resin. Then everybody Adjust it to just shy of the body, like that. Good. As tight as you can at the butt ends, and you can clean it up with some thread. Doesn't have to be. Good. Just like that. And I usually just finish off with a couple half edges because it's simple. If I can get it on there. We lost it. It's all good. You leave yourself just a little extra and you can get it back. Honestly, the UV resin cures up everything just fine. Now I'm shaking so bad. I can't.
More coffee, man.
I didn't have any today. Maybe that's the problem.
Hey,
All I had in the house was decaf when I got up. Rough, right? There we go. Good. And then you just put a little dab of this on top and it makes everything look better. Let it soak down into that thread fiber a little bit. And that's a simple pheasant tail. That took me what, like a couple minutes to tie?
Jake, do you ever change the
color of the wire on your pheasant tails?
On pheasant tails, not really. I haven't played around with like using silver or anything like that. I generally just use copper because I like the contrast of it with the color of the pheasant tail. And I think that's pretty classic on it.
I've used red before.
Yeah, I have another couple like little like the patterns that I use red a lot on, and that does work really well. But I find red's usually a pretty good trigger color. Like I like to use that red thread for the same reason on pheasant tails sometimes, because of that. And I think too, like building a Mayfly pattern is pretty important to like, you have to build up like a nice chunky thorax on it because they have such a fat body on them, you know, and it just a lot of times when they're making those split section decisions, they react to silhouette more than anything, I think. So that one's that. Pheasant tail.
So you're fishing that pretty much all year round, or when you're fishing those?
You just, any day that the fishing gets slow, even, you know, all year, they're always going to be somewhat interested in the betas.
I can't see that. Isn't that horrible? I think glass is so bad.
And you just vary the sizes of it too, you know, sometimes there's there's so many different mayflies and stuff, so it covers, and honestly that covers a pretty good, like there's some caddis that it would cover too. So just using like a variant of it, like I'm going to tie up a Frenchie right now, and those work pretty good all the time.
How small you go down on that?
On the Frenchies, I don't really go below like an 18 on those really. I like it, for most betas patterns I like 16s and 18s, maybe 14s, but like there are times a year when I like in like August I like to go to like a size 10 or like a 12 pheasant tail. It's really good. I'll drop that under a hopper and it's pretty productive for people. Okay, let's do the Frenchie. It's pretty much, it's a little different, but it's kind of the same. It's less steps. I'm just trying to concentrate on patterns that catch fish this spring. Like you can go out and catch them tomorrow.
What would you think is my #1 selling fly in the shop?
What do I think your #1 selling?
What do you think the #1 selling fly in the shop is?
I would say, ooh, that's tough. A chubby Chernobyl.
Copper John.
Give her the time.
A Frenchie?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, this is pretty.
What do you sell? I mean, if you took all the different sizes and colors of chubbies,
Yeah.
you know, but
I'm gonna do a. I'm just gonna do the same size one just because I have everything right here. It's gonna be a 16. I like those tiemco, the 2488s, just because they have the straight eye on them, and I like that better. So. It's
Oh, I gave a pack. I think I
He
gave
gave me a
you
pack of downturn.
Oh no.
I love the downturn.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Okay.
he hates it.
Yeah, I don't care for the downturn. I feel like it messes up my hook set. You know what I'm saying?
these are right.
So,
LCs.
no, so that's gonna be. This is a 16 2488, and you can get the 2488s in like a heavy too, that are a thicker
That's what
gauge.
those are. H, right?
No, they're 24s.
Oh,
They're 2488s, but they're size 24.
and same size bead.
Oh,
This is
okay.
a 5/64 in gold. I think I'm gonna use red thread for this one. And this is just 8/0. Whoops, red thread. Some people,
The old school.
yeah, they make tools for that, but
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's with me all the time.
you know,
It's kind of hard today, though.
Preston, do we have it? Do you have any of that 0.5 lead, 0.15 in here?
Not .15, he's got .2.
Just 0.2?
Yeah.
Uh oh. I had some. It's not a big deal. We'll just do it the same way.
Me, 1.5?
Yeah, the 1.5?
0.15.
0.15?
Oh, you said 1.5. I was like, oh, 1.5. I was like, Jesus, man, that's like my pinky.
Minuscule.
Bigger than the wire on the hook.
We don't talk with zeros.
Oh yeah, he's a.
All right, it's all good.
He knows what an aught is. It's an aught.
I had some. I don't know. I have some somewhere. I like to use so people use for Frenchies. I think I've seen everybody use anything from like pheasant tails. What's the Coq de Leons? They use a lot. You could use just like mallard flank would work just fine. I'm gonna use mallard flank just to make it a little different. And again, it works better if you get your mallards yourself.
More fun.
Yeah. It's gonna be pretty much.
And you get dinner.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win. So we'll do pretty much the same deal. 2 wraps. And just adjust your tail on this.
Lock it in.
And I like to do one in front. All right. And so for this one, we can do it a little bit differently because we have a list of stuff. So I'm going to build the body with this actually and just kind of wrap forward. Just keep building up a little bit. Try to keep it somewhat even on top. There. And from there we can put in our wire. And just because I have it, and we mentioned it, I'm going to use red on this. Just keep. Whoops. Oh hell. I'm not allowed to say that.
You are now.
Okay.
You may have to call him Jeff.
Oh, no, yeah, that's right.
What's that?
Jeff
He
Dean.
caught it on the hook point, though.
Jeff just breaks his thread. He doesn't even catch it on the hook.
Oh, it's always.
We give him trouble over it.
I'm sure. You know. I'm a little heavy-handed sometimes.
Nothing like good friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I knew nothing about this pattern for the longest time. And got that a little long. I was down fishing on, like I was floating down on here, on the lower river, like a while ago. This kid Devin, and he like showed this fly to me, and I'd never seen it before. I mean, it's pretty simple. I was like, oh, that's just like a pheasant tail with a hot spot, you know? And he threw it on, and it just started like waylaying fish. Like 4-1 over my pheasant tail. So some days it works good. If you keep your wire just slightly to the side at the tail, it helps to start that wrap too. So here we're going to take some pheasant tail and go back up. Just cut a good chunk of that off. Get some nice long stuff up here. And we will tie that pheasant tail in with the tips forward. Okay. Give that a little trimmy trim. Oh, also, I forgot to show. I'll show it on the next one. And when you trim stuff, I don't know if you guys know. Like, oh, you probably do. But like, if you like do it like on the angle and you get everything cut, it like lays it out flatter, which is helps build. It doesn't have such a hard transition between body materials then. Okay. From here, just twist it up again. Get that body picked up. Perfect. Secure that with a couple of wraps and forward and front. And when I cut this stuff off, I twist it too, and it helps keep it all nice. All right. Counter wrap your thread. Again, with the thread going away from your body, the same as the wire, the same as the thread motion. It helps secure that down. Nice. I think it's this bobbin. It's
Yes,
the
Jeff.
it's the bobbin.
It's Jeff.
I think you need another beer.
All right. Yeah, that's probably a yes to all that. Yeah, when that happens, just throw a little half hitch in it, trim it off, continue. We're pretty much done at this point anyhow.
Pretty Frenchy though.
Oh, it's going to be pretty Frenchy, yeah. Oui, oui.
I like the red wire.
Yeah, I think the red's gonna look good on it. Okay, so what a good like the color you're gonna want. A lot of people will use like for thread too. For that maybe that color they will use like a hot pink, but that red looks good. So this is like ice dub UV and shrimp pink, and that is the color of the French shrimp pink, Frenchy. That's what I meant to say. So you don't want to layer it on too hard at first. You can always build up. Just do a little bit at a time. Maybe twist on.
Less is more.
Yeah, 2 to 3 inches. Should be good. A little much. Twist around. And you just kind of, we'll finish it off with the rest of your thread for a collar on there. Looks good.
That's as buggy as they get.
Yeah, you just want to, I mean, you never want to like, you never want to keep it too clean, you know? And again, you could use head cement. This UV resin does a good job of locking that thread in place. It also gives it a nice sheen. It cures real quick. Boom. This is what is this? Oh, so this is the thin. So the thin stuff soaks into that thread a lot nicer too. You can like it'll like just kind of soak into it. It looks really good. And then just the loon UV light. So you can kind of brush that out even on that dubbing, and it'll feather its way back. So there it is. That's the Frenchie, and that's another pretty deadly pattern for most times of the year, especially in the spring. There's a lot of betas this time of year coming up. I don't know. Have you been fishing at all? I haven't even been out much to get out. Beta's been going off.
Below confluence, on the low side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a few more weeks for the upper.
Mm-hmm. Those big midges always come off now too.
Yeah, they're coming off.
Cool. Well, there it is. I mean, that Frenchie. That'll fish.
Any questions, guys?
No questions about the Frenchie?
You said you haven't been fishing that much.
I haven't been out a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten out a few times here and there, but I haven't had a good day to go float the river. Well, you know. So I think what we'll do next is I have a leech pattern I was going to tie up. It's a pretty simple leech. So switch gears to a little bit bigger bug here.
You go from the French to the British.
Yeah.
Bloody.
Oh, the bloody leech. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Well, it's another one of those like pretty simple patterns. It's got very few materials to it. I'm gonna do this one in black. All right. So we'll start off. This is a mustad. It's just a streamer hook, size 2. And I'm going to add a large cone head. And I like to use these red ones, but you could use any color you want. Streamer fishing, like you said, like it's all about color most of the time, you know? Change it up. If they don't like something, they like the other thing. But generally, I mean, black is a good one.
Black and purple.
So, switch that out.
White.
Olive and white is hard to beat.
Olive and white.
You know, I mean, we could really just start naming all of the colors and say they're good. Purple's good.
They all work sometimes.
This one with the multicolored tail is really good.
Especially on Colorado stalkers.
All right. So we got these black zonker strips. And I got to put some thread on the bottom here. And generally, oh, that's up here. Should just bring this whole thing down.
Oh, I see this and that. Oh.
That's confidence.
I was waiting.
We were waiting.
Confidence.
Pink.
All right. So I'm going to use a. This is a black. What is this? UTC 140. Yeah. Just a lot higher thread count, a little stronger. GSP is good stuff too.
Love GSP.
Yep, so, slick, but
Yeah.
strong.
It's nice. You can really reef on it. It's good for people like me.
So you can catch a hook point and it doesn't break.
It's not even about the hook point, man.
Breaks the hook point.
Breaks the hook point.
I've been known to snap hooks off in the vise. Come on.
Usually the material will snap off before that.
Yeah. That's a frustrating feeling, I'll tell you.
When you go to cinch down your deer hair and it goes.
It shoots off.
Mm-hmm. Nobody likes that. So, these leech patterns are pretty effective in the spring. I've actually seen a bunch of leeches in the Gunnison this time of year. So, I can't get this thread going. There we go.
Until when?
The leeches?
Yeah.
Until it blows out, really. Like when it starts getting muddy, I mean, they're still pretty effective. But ultimately, like when it's that lowland or that lowland stuff starts coming in, it really starts to blow out. You know, I forgot all my lead completely. Do we have big lead in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What size?
Just
Big lead.
0.2.
Big lead.
I forgot to bring my lead down.
Got 1.32.
Whatever. It can be heavy, you know. It's just it's more to fill this gap. But yeah, I'll fish that leech until it blows out, and generally and then you start fishing worms.
Worms.
Yeah, you don't fish worms.
Mr. Floozy over here.
I don't fish them squirmy worms though. Oh, that's.
Oh no. Neither do I.
Are those even flies?
No, it's a worm.
I saw one.
Stuck
Someone.
up from power bait.
I saw a picture the other day. It was like, yeah, someone had threaded the squirmy worm onto the hook and put a bead head on. There was no thread involved either.
That's
So,
been bass guy.
it was pretty good.
So you usually use soft plastic.
All right. Just give yourself a little strap here. And I'd say, do the front third of the body on this. Just gives it a nice, if you weight that front head, it gives it a good dipping motion when you strip it back. It gets that tail dancing pretty good.
Yes, it does.
So,
I don't think I've ever used a red cone.
You just use a red worm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just, everyone's got their own thing. I just always put, I like on my black streamers, I always like to put a little bit of red in there for some reason. Like this, so one of the, the bloody part of this comes from, there's like like just a really like hollow fiber type synthetic red dubbing that comes, and you can kind of a little dubbing loop that in, and it gets a nice look to it. All right, so we got that wire pushed up, filled the gap. Thank you, Preston, for grabbing that, by the way. And just come right back. I always come right back to right about the barb that I always keep on my streamers. And then kind of wrap one forward and just let it hang. If you're right lined up with the barb, your tail spot's right about where it needs to be. Uh-oh. I'm out of beer. Yeah.
Real start shaking.
I've already did. All right. So what I'll do is tie in the this rabbit strip. I think this is just like a smaller one. I think. Yeah, an 1/8 inch. And thank you, Preston. And you want to leave. You don't want to leave a lot of room back there behind. If you leave the tail too long, it'll end up twisting around and wrapping around the bend of your hook. So you want to leave just maybe like a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of tail back there, because you still have a lot of fur to play around with there. So if you leave it there, come forward and just kind of get a general measurement. You can always cut it shorter. So I'm going to be right about there. And when you cut this, you're going to want to cut it like a little triangle into it. I don't know if you can see it too well. But if you get yourself a little triangle, it'll tie in and wrap itself around the hook when you go to tie it in. It's just a little way to get it started. Plus, you leave yourself at the end, you leave yourself a triangle at the tip, so you leave yourself a little bit of a pointy tail. Okay, wet your fingers, and you get your remeasurement right about there. Separate the hair. Just come down with a couple nice firm wraps. Okay. So that's in place right there. You shouldn't get too much play after that. So from here, we're going to make a dubbing loop. Just give yourself some extra thread. To do that, you just come back around, come behind, and come back forward. You got yourself a nice loop. Okay. What we're going to use for the body here is some, this is Ice Dub in UV black. And this is called, I think it's just called seal dubbing. I don't have a name on it, but it's a like a real hollow fiber, real shiny style red. And you just want to, we're going to use that pretty sparingly. When I do my dubbing, I like to just get a pinch of it and then just kind of form it in my hands on the table. I know you can't see this, but I'm just kind of evening it out, making it the length I want, and filling it in. It just makes it a lot easier to lay it in there. A little bit more. You can kind of mix and match your colors right now too. It makes it nice and simple. I'm gonna add a little bit of this red. You don't want to overpower it with the red. You just want to make it like a subconscious.
Highlights.
You know, you just want to make it make it seem like it might just be bleeding to death. You might want to eat it. I don't think leeches actually bleed, do they? I mean, they suck. I don't know. They suck blood, but I don't know if you can make them bleed. It's.
They bleed others.
So, anyways, all right, we'll pinch that in there. Slide it up. You can kind of roll it in your fingers to get it started. And then if you have a hackle pliers work good for this. You just pinch it off, continue to twist it up. And once you get it twisted up to the body, this gets a little tricky because it's long. You got a lot of stuff in your way. Just bring it around. Just get that started back here. Sorry, I moved my vise. I've used this color combination for this streamer pattern, and I've also used this pattern, this color combo for, actually I've used it to make like rubber legs, like a, instead of that just using like a coffee chenille. If you make a rubber legs with this, it looks really good. It works really good too. But I said I should have done a rubber legs tonight. Okay, you can take that off now. If you just keep that nice and twisted and just keep wrapping up. The point is, on this fly, is to keep everything pretty open so that when it's in the water, it breathes really well. And by that I mean it'll just kind of like suck in and out like a leech would do as you strip it back. You don't want to make it overly fatty. Build up that head. Keep working everything back. Nice. Okay. So there you got a pretty nice body, and you can always tease that out with a comb or a piece of Velcro or whatever, but it ends up, when you start catching fish on it, it gets teased out on its own. So, we got that a little long, which is fine. We'll just separate, get it tied down here. Actually, I can use that for what I'm about to do. So, clip it off. All right. So you see, we have a little bit of head here, or gap between the front here. So what we're going to do to fill that in is actually we're going to make another dubbing loop, a little bit of smaller one here. Okay. So, and then for this, I'm going to, as I had that tag in, so I'm not going to waste it. I have this here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this off. And I'm going to actually dubbing loop this rabbit strip into it. Again, I'm just going to clip it off, and I'm going to lay everything out on the table. So it's all kind of one piece when you go to put it in your dubbing loop. Otherwise, it's going to be a big headache. And that, I mean, it's kind of common sense, but it's also worth noting that, like, as you're laying it out, just do it in the position with the tips of your fibers back so that you don't have to mess with that when you go to pick it up and put it in there. Because that comes from experience. I'm a little slow. And we're only going to do a few wraps, so you only need about 2 to 3 inches of this anyways, so you don't need a whole lot. Here we go. This gets tricky. You know what sometimes helps that I figured is you can like wax things up. Yeah, it helps a little bit, but it also makes things a little trickier too sometimes. It honestly looks pretty good. Just capture it and spin it, because we're going to spin this and it's going to go all different directions anyways. There. So you got that going. Spun up, and just make a little collar out of this nice spun hair, and you can wet your fingers and kind of get everything going the same direction as you put it down, like you would like maybe like a wet hackle or anything like that. Nice. Sorry about that. There you go. Nice little whip finish. Bang. And on this, I'll always, yeah, if you can slip it in there, just a little dab of glue. Perfect. And that is a bloody leech. And you can make that in any color. You know, instead of using the red, you could replace that with, if you found like a gold, like we were talking about, like if you made this same pattern and you use, like I have, I like this, minnow belly, like this ice dub. Yeah, this is very good stuff. And like, if you do that, you could do that with the gold and a gold bead, and that would look really great too. But you see how that teases out, and you can, I don't know if that's on that side, but you can really get a lot of, it looks good in the water. So, the bloody leech.
You say you like to fish that basically now until.
Yeah, yeah. This is a great fly to fish right now, and it's just one of those ones. Like I said, we weighted it front and heavy, so you can. It just gets a really good if you just slow jig it, like just just tick the bottom. Or just real nice and easy slow strip and get it nice. It breathes really well because of that rabbit, and it's nice and flowy. So when it's in the water, it just looks nice. Good.
You guys get some questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah. What's your question?
Ever thought about creating a dubbing brush for that pattern so you can tie up a dozen of them really fast?
Yeah. I have actually, and you do like a wire dubbing. Do you have a dubbing brush maker? Like I've thought about making one. I don't have one, but my buddy Angus does that. He made his own, and he makes his own dubbing brushes for that same deal. And it is nice because you can make them all. You can make a dozen of them or however many, and you just lay them out and they're ready to go.
It's almost like a little daze.
Yeah.
Because that's how it'll swim.
Perfect.
It'll swim
I know,
just like
it'll
that.
swim just like a daisy.
So,
Yeah. I like that in like that sculp and olive color too, like that brownish,
That would be,
like a lot too. Like this brown, that brown and red combo works good too.
that's kind of an all-purpose, you know, run it as a leech or running that as an absolute streamer.
That's what I mean. When they're like cold this time of year, and it's a great. It's just good.
You can let it tumble.
Let it tumble. You can slow strip it. You can jig it, and it flicks that tail. Sometimes you just get that little like fast jig where you're like, and it pop, 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 you know, it pops that tail. It just works real good. So I was gonna do. Oh, I forgot about that. I was gonna tie up one of my favorite summer patterns. I think I'll save that till last. I was just gonna tie up a Chernobyl Ant, just because it's a good pattern. So I think.
It's like 28.
No. Oh. You know.
Hey Jake, we got a question
Sure.
from one of our viewers online.
Uh-oh.
Caleb,
Oh.
who's up in Chicago.
Yeah.
Caleb Egbert asks, "What's your go-to streamer on the gunny?"
My go-to streamer on the gunny is probably I'd have to say it's either that pattern in a different color or any color scheme, or maybe like a Sex Dungeon. Kelly Gallup Sex Dungeon. That's a very good fly. Thanks for the question, Caleb. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this caddis pattern that I've been working on now, and this is like a this is a super realistic caddis.
Boy, everybody's on caddises. We haven't even gotten to the midge hatch hardly.
I know, but caddis are so fun to tie.
Summer dreaming here.
Yeah, summer dreaming.
April's around the corner.
That'd be a good name for a new caddis.
You found that
Summer dream.
right?
Oh yeah, I got a couple packs of that. So this pheasant or Prince nymphs are always like a big in March and on the gunny are like one of the best flies you can throw, like a big prince, like a size 10
That's 'cause you got
or 12. What's that?
hatch.
Yeah,
We're not going to talk about that online. No.
there's a lot of things we
You
don't
need to be
need.
here for that, folks.
There's not a lot of things we're going to talk about online. So okay, so on this one I am using a fire hole. These are I tried them out. I like them. This is a jig style. It's a size 12. And I'm gonna use a gold bead on this one. A little bit appropriately sized.
What kind of vice you got there? Is that a Regal?
It's a Regal, yeah. I don't even know. I've had this vise for such a long time. When I was, it's like pretty much the only vise I've ever owned, actually.
The only one you ever need.
That's
Yeah.
the only one Bill's ever had.
Is it?
I've had two of them, and I still own both of them, and they both still work.
Here we go. So I'm going to use this is a 1/8 inch gold Cyclops bead on this pattern. I've been playing around with this one this spring, just because I whipped up. I have very few patterns that I fish in the spring because I have like 3 that are good. So it's efficient to tie them, and I'm good to go, and then I play around. All right.
Oh, good catch.
What a catch! That was close.
You guys said it would happen at one point.
Shout out to Curtis.
Yep. the bead man.
I'm pretty good. All right, so this is a cool pattern. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have use white thread. I'm going to start using with a 70. This is just white. You can get. I like to use the white for this pattern because I'll ultimately end up using a Sharpie. That gives it a good look. And this. So we got Get your thread started just down. I like to go halfway down, maybe to the bend. Come two wraps back up and just get started. I'm gonna go with a, I don't know, I've been playing around. I'm gonna do this one with Ostrich, just because that's what I've been doing. This is a Ostrich Herl in tan. Get yourself four strands of that. Just tie them in. All right, this gets a little tricky. So, just get them started however you want. And then we'll use these strands. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Let me do one thing quick. I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to tie them in. I just did this the other day, and it worked a lot better. So I want to tie these in at the tips, and then so when I wrap, so I get them at the tips like this, and then I end up pulling the feather forward. It actually makes it just splays out the feather a little bit better. It looks good. So anyways, wrap up and just get yourself. For this caddis, you know, I like to build up right around the bend. I'll build up a little bit more of a hump on that. Perfect. Okay, now I have, this is Kylie's Nymph Skin, and you can get, there's a few different things that are like it. Just, it's like a latex material. It's nice and stretchy. I'll cut off just about 2 or 3 inches of it. And what I'll do when I cut this is cut it at like a 45-degree angle and give yourself a tip. I don't know if you can see that.
Hold it there for a second.
Yeah. Just get yourself a nice 45-degree tip like that. And stuff stretches good too, so. Put it down, just capture it right kind of by the tip of that, and just start going back. And as you go back, just keep stretching it out a little bit. And what you want to do when you come all the way back is you actually want to leave some of that angle that you left, that you cut into it. You want to leave that because it's going to help you build, or help get that body started nice and flat against the tail. And we'll come up and just nice tight wraps up top, and boom. So you build up a nice little humped butt right there on the back. Okay, so here I'm going to, this is my 70 thread, and what I'm going to do right now, to just make my life easy, is half hitch it a couple of times. Oops, let's use a sharper. And just finish that off. I'm going to get a separate bobbin going. And again, you can change this. This is a more of a clear latex, so I'm going to use white thread because it layers in nice. But if you had like a green, you could use green. I do have some green with me too, and or you could use brown or whatever, just to contrast colors and give it a better rib. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So, this is just 8/0 white. You want it to be a thinner diameter thread too. So this is like an 8/0. Just have that laying back. Okay. So from there, we are going to get our other, this is kind of tricky, we're going to get our other one started here. And we're going to have 2 bobbins going at once. Okay. So I have that angle, and you want to start that angle so that it's angled back towards the end, and it'll just suck in right nice and tight against there. And just give it a little stretch as you pull it, however you want, and just kind of layer over as you go up, and do it like layer over half, just like this. Coming up right here. Just get that capture down. It doesn't have to be super pretty. You don't want to pull, when you go to cut this, you don't want to pull too tight because it'll actually suck itself back under the thread, so just give it a little bit of a pull. And just keep finishing down just a little bit, clean it up. Boom. Okay. And now we can actually we're going to finish this off again and just half hitch it because it's kind of a pain to have two bobbins going, but it makes your life easier when you wrap it up to finish that. So we have the 4 of them here. We'll take 2 of them, 2 of these that are on the outside. I got 1 extra. There we go. Okay. So we'll kind of tease those forward. They're going to come up along the side. And we have this bobbin back here ready to go. And we'll get that first wrap just started right around the back end. Boom, like that. Then you just pull, just keep working it up. It's kind of tedious, but you get that thread to go right into each one of your turns from before on the latex. Just try to keep this nice and even going up. Good, that's looking good. Okay. Good. Nice, that looks good. All right, there you go. And then you have, it's nice and got a little bit of a hairy body to it, which looks good. And then these remaining ones, just kind of clip, and that'll be like just a little bit of tail. Okay, and if you have it right and you can do everything, you see now our next step of what we're going to do is, if you look at the ends of these, you keep these ends on your ostrich herl. And those are going to make the legs for our caddis right here. And so this is on a jig hook. And so I'm going to have it so it looks like his tail's coming up. So I'm going to have his legs coming off the bottom, or the top here. So just take your time. And I've played around with this where I do like 4 legs or I do 6 legs, and I was like reminding myself of Jeremiah Johnson, And he says the good thing about elk is the elk can't count.
Elk don't know how many legs a horse has.
Yeah, well, don't they know the horse has 4 legs? Good thing about elk. I don't think trout can count legs either, so it's just all personal preference. But you can trim these, but you want to leave them, you know, not too long, but just kind of set them to what about that distance right there. And it just makes your life easier too if you come in and clean up these ends. And I'm just going to do 4. Keep it simple. Okay. Great. Looks good. So then what I like to do here is just kind of work my thread back through, back to where it meets the latex there. And what I'm going to do here, and especially on this creamy colored one, like if you have just a brown Sharpie, and the reason I use white thread is because you can color it up. Just color up about a little strip of that, and then as you work it back through, it's just a lot easier to get that color you want. Nice. And you can come back in with the Sharpie tip here. After you build it, it needs a little bigger thing. Just you want to try to make, when you build this thread head, you just want it to meet, you know, try to have it match up as best as you can, on level with that latex, so it doesn't have a weird gap. Coloring that thread like that's the best way to get into that gap sometimes. Okay. And you just kind of color this up. Brush it onto the legs. I'm just going to finish this off now, so get this thread out of the way. I did that one on purpose.
We hear that a lot.
All right, so.
I think his last name's Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Dean guy sounds all right. And then, okay, so what I like about that, honestly, like what I do like about using this white thread, and then coloring it afterwards, because you could just use brown thread, and I know some people are like, why don't you just use brown thread? But you'll see here in a second why. So, and just kind of brush that with your finger when it's still just a little bit wet. Fade it. Okay, boom. Now comes the UV fun. Just kind of work that nozzle tip down into the legs a little bit. Let it soak in for a half second. I like to kind of brush the legs back as I do this too. It kind of freezes them in place that way. All right. And then from here, it's just kind of building up and finishing off with our UV. This UV, again, the thin resin. And the best way I've found to do this is to just do a little bit at a time, and you can kind of do it in layers and just hit it for a few seconds and keep layering. You just want to give it that nice classic like caddis shell on there. I got a little free hair in there. That's not good.
That would look good with the green underbody, the UV. That would really look good.
I got another one I'm gonna do here in just a second.
That green
I'm
UV underbody.
gonna do a variant here in a second. I'll show you.
So I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just with CDC up front.
Right.
And then I just keep finishing this off. Just keep building it. Just you want it just nice shiny. And that why I like that. It's going to be hard to see on the camera, but what I like about using the marker is that it gives it this really cool like variegated. It's not just a solid brown. It's actually it looks a lot more realistic as the head style on this. All right, one more and we're good.
See, another thought on that is using a UV Sharpie,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like the UV green,
Yeah.
and putting it right at the head, so it looks like you've got that lime green, pop.
There. Looks pretty good.
I don't know, but I really like that underbody.
Yeah,
That body.
yeah, it would really pop.
Oh, sometimes, like the tips of these are a little long too, and I like to trim them up just a little. There. I like to this material because you can see it. Actually, you can see it kind of good on this light. So when it's silhouetted, you can actually see the hook itself through there. So it gives it like.
Translucent.
It is. That's perfect.
It's cool.
That's why the underbody, different color on the
That's
underbody,
what I'm
would really make it
Yeah,
pop.
play with the colors though.
So
I bet you lime green would make that thing
what's
really bright and stuff.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
So are you fishing that in the gorge a lot?
I just started tying it.
Just started.
Yeah.
What do
I
you
have,
call
it's just a realistic caddis.
I'd call it fuzzy.
I stole it from there. Like I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and it always sends me down these rabbit holes. And I watch this English guy, Oliver Edwards, a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they always end up in that guy, and he's like cutting strips of latex gloves. He's like, "Bup, bup, bup," and, man, it looks so good. And I put it on that jig. I like it on that jig hook. It gives it a nice little.
Yeah, no, that's
So.
an awesome. You see that? Yeah, fuzzy that is. If that wouldn't just
What was the
trap
latex
little
you
air
were using?
bubbles
What's that?
What's the
It's called Kylie's Nymph Skin.
Oh, yeah, I can do this.
I ordered it online,
Nicole?
but here's what I was going to show you guys.
Yes.
So this is going to be, I'm going to tie up another one, and I'm going to use just slightly different materials for the next one, but it'll be relatively the same.
Do you ever change the color of the bead?
So I'm going to do just another one, basically. But this one, actually, it's hard for me to say. I like the way the green one looks even better than when I do this one. Because instead of the ostrich, I switched over and I used I'm going to use Peacock Herl instead of Ostrich Herl. There we go. Okay, so for the green one, I'm going to do the same hook, size 12, the Fire Hole Sticks Competition Barbless Jig. And I'm going to use a 1/8 black nickel Cyclops. And again, like any of these patterns, you can use any color bead. You can use tungsten if you prefer tungsten. I always think tungsten is just. I don't nymph a lot. I don't nymph a lot.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. So like for me,
If you nymph a lot, you're gonna go to tungsten right away.
the majority of my nymphing, it comes from hopper dropper fishing.
Yeah.
So I don't like to have a lot of weight. I like to use just natural like bead weights or combinations for that. Because I don't know how else you can catch a fish on a hopper if you're nymphing.
You drown it.
That's right.
I don't want to do that. No, you could drown. Have you
I
ever,
catch them on ants the same way. You drown them.
that half drown? There was a half drown hopper pattern I used to fish quite a bit. That was really good. I forgot about that. So you just said that.
Same with a stone, sunken stone.
I one time I was in when I first moved out here. I was living in this house in Gunnison, and this kid, he was like a goofy kid. His name was Garrett, and he was really into mountain biking, but he wanted to get.
Say his last name, please.
But he was just goofy. He's like, man, I'm gonna get a tattoo of a beaver riding a mountain bike, eating a slice of pizza, and drinking a Fat Tire beer. I'm like, okay, you know.
Sounds like Gunnison.
Yeah, so exactly. Anyways, so me and my buddy Curtis knows if Curtis is going to watch this, but that kid, we gave him like some elk hair caddis to go fish with, and he came back and he was like, I slayed it today. And we looked at his rig, and he had been nymphing elk hair caddis all day, and he was crushing it. So and that was the day I was like, well, I don't.
Right.
You don't know.
With Adams.
You don't know everything, right? All right, so for this one, I like to use for this green one. I was just going to show you like a little bit different material that you could do, because I'm going to use Peacock Herl on this one, and I honestly think the Peacock it looks better. Do they make white Peacock Herl?
You could.
You could.
Well, they is going to have to be me then, huh?
Hydrogen peroxide might make it brittle though.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the problem. Anytime you bleach it, it's gonna make it brittle.
Or even tan. I got to figure out something. All right. Again, I'm just gonna do 4. That's all you really need. So we'll tie these in. Tie these in by the tips. And it's fun. I like watching those YouTube videos because like you watch Charlie Craven or somebody tie, and like some people are so like particular about lining things up and keeping things stacked, and like Charlie Craven's just like he just throws it all together and it looks good in the end.
Been doing it for 40 years.
So that's how I roll. Just throw it together.
It's all in making it look easy.
Right.
Uniformities for fly fishermen.
That's right.
It is.
That's for the fishermen, not the fish.
fishermen.
All right, so that's that. And then okay, so this there it is. Green. This is Caddis green Kylie's Nymph Skin. So again, when you get it started again, just get your 45-degree angle cut into the tip.
How much you cutting off? About 3 inches?
What is that? Yeah, I mean that's way too much. I'm doing that for convenience. I mean, you probably legitimately need like 1.5 inches because it stretches so much, but you know how that gets. It gets to be a big pain. So this is I think this green one, it's hard to say because that other one looks so grubby, but this green one's gonna look good too.
What's funny is I've used latex for other things.
And the thing, the thing about I played around with other thread colors for the underbody, like underneath this too. And what makes, like when you have different colored latex like that, what makes it pop, like that clear doesn't actually show through color very well. So,
It's
but like
muted though.
it is.
You know.
It is. So that's a good way to play around with it. But like the best way to get like this green to pop is to put white underneath it.
Right. That's the other thing you might try, is a pearlescent underbody.
I thought about that too. Yeah.
It won't.
I actually laid it
It'll be
down.
muted.
I was curious about that. I'm gonna tie. I'll end up probably tying one because I looked at it underneath it and it didn't look like it showed through, but I was curious how it would be when it got wet.
Mylar's weird when you start wrapping stuff over it. You do like one little tiny thin wrap, and after that you lose it.
Okay, here's where we tie this
At
off.
least that's my experience.
Let's finish that for a sec. And on this one, I'm gonna actually put black thread back on because the black thread that it gives it looks nice and shiny on that. And just to do it a little different, to show a little different look. Okay. And I also played around with this. I'm gonna use white thread again. I'm gonna use the white 8/0 to wrap back in through those segments. Because I used black and it definitely darkens it. It will definitely, and I played around with different colors, so the black and all that definitely darkened it to a certain degree. All right, get this back out of our way. So black. This is a 70, just a 70D black thread again. It's nice and shiny. Lays good and flat. Here we go. Oh, shoot. That happens.
That's never happened to us.
Yeah.
No. You guys are amateurs.
That's never happened to us.
It's starting to shape out like a green rockworm already.
Yeah.
Heavy killer on the Arkansas.
Yeah.
Jake, what material is that?
This material is called Kylie's Nymph Skin, and there's a couple different ones you can buy. This is like one of the stretchier ones that I've found, but my buddy Cameron had one that was pretty stretchy too, and it was just like it said it was just like a shell back or like whatever, but it was super. You just want to make sure it's stretchy, because it won't wrap and lay right if it's not.
Yeah, I think the black bead on it's really nice too.
Okay, and we're just going to do the same thing with this ostrich trail. If you just tease the two outside ones forward and get them started. And again, I like to wrap the tips. When you wrap the tips forward, when you pull this feather forward, it flares those, just the micro feathers out just a little bit, yeah. But you got to be careful with the ostrich is way more durable than this peacock, so you just got to be keep that in mind when you're going up, because if you wrench it too hard, it'll really
Be like a GSP on deer.
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Most people can have the peacock around for so long it tends to dry.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you do that little humidity puff onto it,
Oh yeah.
you can possibly salvage, you know, a fly or something like that before you break it. Prevent it, I should say, not salvage. Prevent the breakage.
Just nice and easy, and just push those into each segment. Oh, then that happened on that side.
Okay, we can see.
Yeah, I know.
That's right, it's on the back side.
Yeah, it's on the side that it's on the side. It's on the side that the
Fish
fish
don't see that
the
side.
fish
Just
can't.
don't see that side.
Oh, especially when they're one-eyed. My buddy Kurt caught this fish one summer. He was guiding, and he caught the same fish like 3 days in the same week. And he'd take people and he'd be like, "No, I'll just cast it a little further to the left," because it had one eye.
Yeah.
All right, good. I like the way that Peacock looks a lot more in there. I think it looks nicer. Good. Back to the black. And then the same thing, I will use, actually for the legs, I'm going to go back to the ostrich. The ostrich Herl just it makes the nicest legs when you strip it off. Yeah, when you strip it off, it just curls. I think it curls the best. It just looks the nicest.
Pheasant does the same thing, but I don't have
I
the
try,
consistency of it.
and with the pheasant, it's not as like structured or whatever. It tends to crush a little bit easier, and I don't think it looks quite as nice. Because I've been playing around with this, and I think I'm gonna try this a lot this summer as a dropper fly underneath my hoppers.
Oh, you'll be successful with it.
Because my buddy Josh Cattell, that I guide with, annoys the hell out of me every day. Because I come in and I do pretty good for myself when I'm fishing. I catch fish with people. We do all right. But I'm like, "What'd you get him on?" He's like, "Caddis." I'm like, every day caddis, pulsating caddis. All right. We're about done on this. It looks the same, but different. If you just leave those little butt ends in it, it looks buggier in there too.
It's so buggy. Oh, me too. In a heartbeat.
And you know, like when they get swept up in the current too, like, and they kind of their butts go up in the air like that, and they're trying to scramble to get under a rock.
When they're adrift, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it's funny. Like I always have that. People. I feel like you have that stigma of like really realistic flies aren't going to catch fish, but they do. Have you ever fished those reel stones? They're like a rubber band one. And they're really good too. All right, cinch that down. Just because I can, I'm going to do another set on these ones. All right, those look pretty good. And again, you don't have to worry about setting those too bad because you're just going to finish it off with that UV. Anywho. looking good. You just work that nozzle back down. I like to just secure everything down in there with this stuff. It looks. Cool. One more little dab and we're good. You just give it about 15 seconds with this. Boom. And that would be your little green variant. Looks good.
That's a good color.
So with the legs being oriented on top, were you kind of saying it's meant to mimic one like floating upside down?
Well, they just have those legs. Yeah, so like if it looks like this,
There's a jig, it's gonna float
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
It'll just be
Yeah.
like that.
because so the eye of the hook, because it was a jig style, is like inverted.
Okay.
Yeah. Belly scratcher. I think it'll catch fish.
Oh, I guarantee you.
All right. I wasn't gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it for Preston.
Oh.
All right, Preston.
Is this the ant?
No, I'm
Should we,
skipping.
should we all leave now?
I mean, do you guys want to see how to tie a Chernobyl ant?
Yeah.
You want?
Preston, we want to see it.
All right. I'm gonna do the Rojo. He became a believer.
I did. It works.
This is a pattern that Eli Wilder came up with.
Whose pattern is it? I'm sorry.
Eli Wilder. And I modified it to make it better. You hear that, Eli?
Oh no, you don't want to know what he just commented.
No, I do. So, okay, on this one, I am going to find, I'm going to make this one in a 16 again. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to go back to, this is my standard Mayfly hook, like 16s. I like the, 14s look good in this too, but the 16s have been working pretty good. This is a really good pattern for when the blue wings and the midges are popping. So, it's unstoppable. It is. It is.
What hook is that? 24?
Oh, wait, this is a 2488 in size 16, and I'm going to put a 5/64 silver. Silver is the way to go on this one too. This is a very specific color scheme on this pattern. Okay.
Now let's see if we can't pull Brent's chain or Trent's chain a little. Can you tie that on a downturned eye?
I don't have any.
Smart man. I like him already.
All right, so we're gonna do. What I'm gonna use on this is I have the 140 on here. I'm gonna go with I guess that's what I used on that last one. It doesn't really matter. Just a black, flat 70D or a 140. There it is. This is being smaller. I'm gonna go with the 70. first step we're going to do is push the bead back. I'm going to have the bead all laid down. I'm just going to start this off. I don't know. This is going to be just like kind of like a, it's kind of like a rojo midge, to be quite honest. It's pretty much a rojo midge. So, lay that. And just get like a white wing post material. And this one's kind of up to your own self. Just eyeball, you know, the amount that looks good for a forward wing. And you can always trim. You don't want to go too skimpy, but you don't want to go too big because it'll get hard to push the bead up over. You too. All right, so get that started. When you're doing this one, it really does help to just, because it's a smaller fly, it just helps to keep everything nice and flat. And we'll wrap forward until you get about, I'll do like, until you got about one wrap where you pull it back and you have like one wrap behind. And just do one wrap in front of everything. And then go back over top. And that really locks everything in place. And then come back across. And just, you know, pinch and twist this. And hold your scissors nice and level. So when you go to wrap your thread, it ends up laying down perfect.
Nice ring.
At this point, I love my half hitches. Push the bead up. Just get her started again. Wrap back. Out of the bend, come back up. It's kind of building a nice. So the point of this fly is called the chalupa roja. So like, meaning it's a nice fat chubby fly because he likes to eat chalupas. And the chalupas are deep fried. You know, they're not good for you. So this. Yeah, I'm going to use red thread on this. So this is a small red wire. I'm sorry, not thread. And for this, I like to make sure it's lined up pretty well, you know, vertically right on top of everything. And just wrap back. Okay, when I clip that wire, I just left a little gap between the end of that wire and the bead, so there's like a little space that everything will tuck into. And then we're just going to wrap. Oh, I broke my own rule. See, I do that. You know what I'm saying?
Now the wire's gonna break.
No, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. All right. It really does matter. Okay. Secure that down. When I do that, I always just fold that back. Kind of brush it back, and then you're just going to come back over top and really secure everything down and build up a black head, a little black body behind this or whatever. Just like that. At that point, you are done. For the most part. Okay, so now the real magic on this one is from the UV, because it gives it a nice, you want to run it down along the back. Just a little bit at a time. And what I'm doing is just giving it like a bubble, like a nice bubbly like thorax behind that, like a little hump. It's almost like use it like a double bead, but you have one bead and one like clear bubble. It's a nice smooth transition, and you just kind of run that UV down and gives it a nice slick appearance, and just really nice, and gives it a good sheen in the water. It adds flash without adding flash. That's it. What's my #1 slayer all spring?
What size?
16s and 14s mostly. And like Eli, like other people, you tie it without the front wing, and it just works just the same. I mean, it's basically a zebra midge, but with some UV. But
Would you say about Eli ties it without the?
You can tie it without the front wing, yeah, too, and it works just as good. But I think a big part of this fly that makes it work is the hook itself, the curved hook, because that's, if you watch those mayflies, the midges swim, they swim like little mosquito larvae, you know, so they got that real hunch to them. So there
That
it
is
is.
straight up Coronabit right there. That's like
Yeah.
a mix between a roho, flashbang, buzz bomber,
Oh yeah.
all thrown in.
And when you throw the
Zebra,
zebra.
and when you throw, yeah, when you see those big midges popping in the blue wings, it goes off. It's got like I'm a big believer in profile over anything really, over color and size.
Oh yeah. They just look like a little tiny worm.
All right. I guess we got time. We got time for one more, huh? Or do we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joel Evans says, "Hey Jake, Joel Evans here. Thanks for sharing." And then I've got Tristan Church. Awesome stuff, Jake. I will definitely be whipping up some of your flies. Where do you find where do you find the creativity for your patterns?
Out of necessity, to be quite honest. Like, you get frustrated enough watching a fish eat something that you don't have on, and you kind of you figure it out. And necessity is, yeah, exactly. And I remember watching a fish in the portal one time for like 3 days straight, and I couldn't catch him. And I went home and I kept tying with different flies. And finally, I tied this one that like rested in the surface film just perfectly, and I was just like, that's it, you know. And I caught it. It had to. It was, you know how the portal is. But
What was it that you tied?
it was like an emerging. It was like a trico, like a little trico pattern. But he wasn't eating on the surface, and he wasn't eating below. He was just like, he was being a real jerk.
Sunk ant.
Yeah. So, a sunk ant. Yeah. All right, well, let's do that. I'm gonna pull out, I'm gonna do a size 8 on that then. This one I can whip out in just like 5 minutes. And again, I'm a big hopper fisherman. I love hopper fishing. It's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Terrestrial fishing, I should say, as more accurately. It's literally the best.
What was that like last summer? Hopper fishing.
It was okay. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
It
Why do you think? I mean, what was the deal?
Well, some people said it was because there was too much water on the banks, and I don't think. I just think it was an off year. Yeah, I really don't think it was anything.
Cyclic.
I don't think it was anything more than that, honestly.
I mean, there weren't very many
No.
bugs out. Period. That I
It
saw.
was kind of dry, and it's not, and what makes hopper fishing down here so good is how they all have to be right on the river, because we live in a desert.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah, we live in a desert, so they're all right there.
You try sinking your hopper?
I have.
No, but
Half of them hit that hopper when they're on the surface to sink them.
I tell.
They come back and eat them.
Well, yeah, that's a big thing with with that. Like a lot of them will come back around and they'll come up and smash it, and then if you just wait on it, they'll swing back around and eat it as it sinks under the water. So on this one, I don't, it doesn't really matter the undercolor and stuff. I've honestly it's one of my favorite color combos on this is red and yellow. It's easy to see. So I'll measure that up on my yellow. You just kind of give yourself about, like that. But you can buy cutters for this. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. But if you have a box of Chernobyls, I guarantee you're going to catch fish. Angus is watching right now. If he is, he knows it. He's got a box.
all right, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have. Where did Chernobyl come from on that name of that fly?
It was a giant ant, and they figured it was from radiation.
From Russia. The
From Russia.
That makes sense.
And that's about the time it came out.
And then I was
It was
reading.
just a giant ant.
Giant ant.
Yeah, I was reading that the chubby Chernobyl was created by the guides on the Green River. Yeah, just like a group of guides. There's like no one person that invented the chubby,
Right. They just toyed with it till they got it.
which is probably one of the most effective hopper dropper flies around.
See, now they've got one called the Stubby Chubby.
The stubby chubby. Uh-oh.
The stubby chubby.
That sounds dangerous. All right, so I'm tying this on a. I like to tie my hopper patterns and some of my bigger stonefly dries on a on that. I like the tiemco hooks. This is a 200R. It has a drop bend to it, which I really like. When you're fit, here it is. Yeah, 200R. So it just has a little bit of that drop point. And I think it keels. It gives your hopper a keel like a boat, and it helps it ride upright a little bit better. All right. So on these ones, I'll come back and just in front of it, use where it starts to level off. You don't want to go too far down that bend. You want to kind of keep everything on the level. Super simple. These are easy to tie. You can whip them up in no time. So start it with this. Back and give it a couple. When you wrap this, I come forward. I'll do like 2 softer wraps and pinch it with my fingers and pull it tight. And then come back a wrap, pull. Come forward 2, pinch tight, pull. Come back 1, pull. Forward 2 or 3, tight. Come back 1, pull. And that way, I've spent a lot of time cutting through foam. And that gives you're pretty secure. And then you come forward 1 and you're pretty secure. But you don't have to be super secure because super glue is the magic ingredient in this fly.
Is that 8-inch foam?
I don't know. I just cut that freehand. So,
No thickness.
oh, this thickness? Oh, I'm sorry. This, what do they come in, like 2 millimeter? This is 2 millimeter. No, this is 3. This is 3 millimeter. This is 2. It's that yellow underbody. So what I'm going to do, I have some legs here.
No way, that's straight.
I think the one you pulled out was the same.
Yellow's too. Yellow and brown.
Yeah, I think that's a big
Whoops.
glowing sun for me.
Yellow.
That's all I gotta look up there.
On this one, I like to do, I'll do like a red rubber on the back for the back legs. What's that?
What size?
Oh, this is an 8.
Your legs look like 16.
What size are these legs? I have no idea.
I'm just gauging it by the 8 that's up.
It's like ZZ Top, maybe? She got legs?
That's it.
I love me some ZZ Top. You know, ZZ Top is the longest running band that has their original members. Every member of ZZ Top is still the original member to right now, which is pretty impressive. All right, where's my red?
Texas garage.
Yeah. All right, now I'll just kind of match up my red on top. Come down and do the same technique here. Pinch, back, forward. Just make sure you kind of, actually it doesn't, I don't know if it matters to go in between the legs or not. There. Just kind of line that up, make sure it's all good on the underside so it wants to look nice. You just want to make sure everything's lined up, so just keep an eye on that. And so here's where we add just a little bit of super glue. It is. It keeps everything locked in place. Come forward like 3 or 4 reps. I go about 3 on that one. Come forward, pinch it down, and then we're just going to make little segments underneath with this yellow one. Just keep checking for keeping it straight. Because if you keep it straighter, it's definitely going to float better. It's not going to. Chernobyls tend to have a propensity to flip upside down, which is annoying. Which made me think about tying a Chernobyl in the round. So come forward and then just give yourself a little bit of head space up there. So that's, I'm going to end it right about there with just a few wraps and then finish it off here. Boom. Nice. And then come up to the head and we're just going to bring that all forward. Looks good. And it, you could use black, white variegated. I'm going to use, this is hopper yellow.
It's just a ghost. The building's old.
It's all good. It's probably a good, friendly one. For sure. He's probably pumped that we're tying flies. All right, give yourself some nice jiggly legs. And honestly, then pull forward, get a few wraps up there. Finish her off. And then if you want to, you can just add a little bit of glue to kind of secure those together. And you can also like get the cutters for these, like I said, and you can whip out the preformed bodies and just really crank these out. All right. Perfect. Trim up the legs. Bingo. And then just kind of angle the head. Angle the tail. There's your Chernobyl. Super easy. But you can see it, you know, gives a good segment, gives a nice fat profile on top, floats really good, catches lots of fish. Red's easy to see. All right. That's it.
All right. Good job, Jake.
Thanks. Thanks for coming down, guys.
Always fun
You
having
bet.
you, man.
Oh, I made a mess.
For him? For Jake?
I'm good.
I was thinking about tying these. I have a bunch of these preforms cut, and my wife said, "Do these work?" And I said, "Well, this one. Look at it. It looks like a chew toy." It was a used one that was sitting there. Yeah, it works. I love using Chernobyls.
Oh, anything in service.
Hey, thanks guys for all coming out tonight to our special edition of On the Vise on Monday night. We're going to have to do this again. It's a lot of fun. Hey, if you like what you saw, if you want us to continue to see these content, subscribe, guys, and hit the like button, and come check us out down here at the shop. Saturday, we're going to be here again from 10 to noon with Jeff Dean. He'll be on the Vise. So till then, get out, do some fishing. Thanks, guys.